Hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Crows Frightening Frauen. We have Lee with us again, and
Sup?
she gets to listen to me talk at her. But we'll
The
go through
best.
a little more intro this time of who Lee is. Lee, tell us about yourself.
Oh no.
Ah!
I was not prepared for that.
Okay, tell us about your week. How about that?
My week. Let's see. I've been working on podcasts this week, and I just got back from dog sitting for like 2 weeks, so I was like enjoying kind of being in a slightly more comfortable space with my cat. And yeah, it's been pretty mellow. I've been watching The Righteous Gemstones, which deadpan humor.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Yeah, there's like this one scene that stands out as a good example of like it's like shows these guys like working out, and the guy's like being spotted by his buddy, and he looks up and the view is you can like see balls hanging over the work shorts. It's amazing.
Makes me want balls.
Just for that, just for surprise,
Yeah,
just for
like
the dangle.
just for when like guys are hitting on me and I can just like, here's my balls.
Yeah. And I've been getting stuff ready for my shop because I made a shit ton of stuff in the last couple of weeks. I didn't realize how much stuff I made, and then I started taking pictures. I was like, oh my god.
Show us your necklace.
My necklace. It's hard
It's
to
so
see.
pretty.
This is resin that I did like mica powder and did like the rainbow.
Ugh.
And I have a bunch of different ones. And then I pulled these out just to show off in case like I had the chance.
Those ones, yes.
Yeah. So these are polymer clay that I put like resin on top, which gives it that like cool finish. So yeah, I'm really happy with how those turned out. They're on my shop now.
We'll plug that in the description. My Etsy shop isn't as exciting because it's just my logo right now on items.
Yeah, but it's such a cool logo.
I sent in a lot of revisions for that logo, and I still want one more. But I had to have it, so it's my Virgo brain wanted to do everything to it and make it as perfect as possible, but I know it's good enough.
Yeah. It looks really good, I think, but I understand. I understand.
My brain has thoughts and the other person can't see them.
Yep. Why can't body do what brain want done? Why need other body to do what,
Exactly. And this brain can't do it. It can see things, but it can't put it into effect anywhere.
Yeah. I can't visualize very well, so I get concepts, but I can't make them into a visual reality. Like drawing is very hard for me and stuff, and so I rely on other people, and so I have to give them the concept and then be like, no, that doesn't feel right. Like everything is feeling, and I'm like, I wish that I had the visual because it'd be so much easier, and I feel like I would actually be able to create a lot of the stuff on my own if I could.
Do you feel like it's easier for you with things that you mold and create rather than drawing? Because like you do a lot of art and it's all awesome.
Yeah. It's all abstract too. It's totally like I want it to feel a certain way, and I know how I want it to feel, and I've only had a couple pieces of art come out right, which makes me feel like I'm learning. I'm getting better because I'm starting to be able to control the paint and stuff. And that's really exciting. But yeah, like I don't do any like all the clay stuff. I do use cutters and stuff. I might start sculpting my own shapes at some point, but I'm not there yet.
Or designing your own cutters too.
Yeah, like find someone with a 3D printer because I have no interest in fighting with 3D printers.
I have one. I don't know how to use it.
They're so finicky and stuff, and I have mad respect for people that have the patience to get it to work, or who get really lucky and get one that work out of the box.
Yes. Mine came with Chinese instructions. So I'm trying to figure...
There are robust groups online, like on Reddit and stuff, for pretty much like every model, and they are really helpful. So if you do decide to get into it, you can probably get people that'll be, or you may just find the conversation that gives you the information you need. But I got one for my son, and It had good reviews from a friend of mine, and looked pretty good, like when I looked in the community, but he was never able to get the material to adhere to the plate no matter what he tried. He tried every single thing that people suggested, that the company suggested, like modified it, and it never worked for him. And I was just like, yeah, I do not have a good temper for those kind of frustrations, so I'm gonna pass.
Oh,
I'll
me
just
either.
have a friend.
I was getting frustrated earlier just trying to figure out how to edit one of my items in Etsy because it carried over wonky, but then I realized that it put it in there twice as well, and once it was correct and the other one was way wrong.
That's weird.
It had put the blanket that I have in there at $100, which is not $100, and it put it like the description was all weird and the picture was wrong, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I was getting so frustrated, and then I saw that there was another listing for it, but it was correct, and I'm like, I'm just deleting this. I'm not going to try to work with this anymore. But no, that's my odd. Blanket is not $100, guys. If you want to be cozy.
I didn't even see the blanket when I was looking. I'm like, ooh, blanket, because I was looking at the tote, and I was like, I gotta get the mug. Probably gonna get a tote. You can't have too many blankets, so
Mm-mm. I'm good. Yeah, I want all of it. That's the funny thing. Everything I put on my shop, I also want all of it. So I was like shopping while I was doing it, and I'm going to order everything.
So when you buy gifts for people, do you buy stuff that you think is cool, or do you buy stuff knowing that it's something the other person will think is cool?
For me personally, buying gifts for other people, my love language is gifts, and I like finding things that that person would find cool or reminds me of them or is sentimental to something with us. Whether or not they actually think it's cool when it arrives is a whole other story, but that's what I try to do.
Yeah. I feel like the TISM is giving me like a superpower for gift giving, because like I like pay such close attention to all these details about other people, and so like my son says that I give like really good gifts. Like he doesn't ever like worry about that. His other parent, like she will give stuff that's like what like what?
Why did this make you think of me?
Yeah, like doesn't really feel like there's any effort really involved, and it like hurts his feelings a lot. So like he would rather get nothing than get something that feels like symbolic of not thinking at all. But then he's like, yeah, with you I don't have to worry about that. You always like find something, like, it's not always easy. I spend the whole year thinking about it. Especially since he's an adult, he buys his own shit now. Like,
that's hard.
Yeah.
Even when they're teenagers, that's hard, because once they get a job or whatever, they can't keep money in their wallets. And so they buy whatever they want.
Yep. So how was your week?
My week was okay-ish. I mean, I feel proud of myself that the podcast officially launched today with the day that we're filming, which is 8/7, 2023, and I've had a lot of people already listen, and the number one feedback I've gotten is, your voice sounds really jazzy. And I appreciate that. I promise you, not every episode will my voice sound jazzy, because when I get super excited, it changes. But
yeah, there was a section where your cadence changed because it sounded like you got like focused on the topic and then kind of, so I was like, oh, cool. I totally identify with that.
And I cannot control it. I'm not going to pretend that I can just keep it jazzy.
Yeah. Keep it jazzy.
I also can't guarantee that between me stopping recording and going to the bathroom and coming back, that it's not going to change either.
Right? Like every time I pause, I'll be like, wait, what? Like, because I pause you to collect my thoughts, or because the cat's doing something, and then like I come back and I'm like, whatever mood I'm now in.
Mm-hmm. These ones, though, with you, we continuously record, and I do not edit unless there's like a long pause where we do end up going to the bathroom. But even then, maybe I'll just give you some time to ponder.
Yeah. I can like sing very poorly while you're in the bathroom, and then vice versa.
We'll take turns.
You sing better than me.
Oh, no. We can duet.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, my week. So last Friday, I got a letter from my work saying that I was terminated my employment because I quit, which is not the case. But so now I'm gung ho in this project.
Yeah.
It feels like one of the podcasts that I listen to, True Crime All the Time, TCAT. That happened to him when they first started recording. He lost his job and it was a layoff. I think he was working for like USPS or something. And oh no, it was something else, but it's like that. It was like that. And he lost his job and went gung-ho into his podcast, and it's amazing. So maybe I'll have some of them, Mike and Gibby, rub off on me. So.
That would be amazing if like you just slid into your other passions and just like, you know, because it would be so supportive of so many things going on, because then like, you know, you could be flexible because of your health stuff and just take that stress away, which of course is really important for the mast cell, just to not have that stress.
And that's what's hard is like my job that I had, which I've been doing for 5 years now. I only had it with this company for 10 months. And so I'm not protected by FMLA. So all my health problems, I was protected by short-term disability, but my doctor not sending in my stuff in time is why I got terminated. And I had no protection because I hadn't been there a year. And so I loved my job. I loved, even though it was a horrible time to be in the mortgage industry, it was actually really fun, and I will miss that, and I may get back into it in the future, but I am excited to do all the things I was already going to do while working. So I was already going to be opening up escape rooms in my town, and I was already going to open up like a selfie museum and some other things. So I'm excited to go for it. And I have some meetings today with a small business association for some grant opportunities for that. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that you're just doing it.
And I want a haunted house.
Yeah.
I want to
that would make me wish like live closer, because then I could do clown stuff there. Just sometimes for fun, you know?
Well, you should do that anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to ask real quick technical question. Do you hear any wind noise coming through?
I don't hear anything.
Because I have the overhead fan on, and I just want to make sure.
It's pretty, I don't hear anything. It's pretty directional, and I've tested that out with mine too, because my fan blows like over in this corner, but it's on the other side of my mic, so it doesn't have sound. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't hear it.
Yeah, I noticed when I was processing the sound file for my podcast with yours that it was totally quiet.
Yeah, it was identical to mine when I was like looking at even the thingies.
Yeah, the visual representations of the sound. I know there's a technical word for that, and I don't know what it is, so I just keep referring to it as the visual representation of the sound.
I think that's accurate, and I would say that's better than my ups and downs. Woos.
Yeah.
I think visual representation makes more sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not like, it's like sonogram or something, but it's not that word. It's one of those kind of words. Some sort of
flowy wave thing.
Yeah, like audio wave, or I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Those things.
Cool.
Oh man.
What are you drinking?
This is not paid for by them. I am drinking whatever that stands for. Wild orange.
A D?
Zoa. Zoa? I don't know what the triangle is, if it's a D or an A or a...
Yeah, I was wondering if it was for Delta, so it'd be like a D. But I don't... Is it supposed to be up... I don't remember.
I don't know. Zero sugar energy drink. It's my second one today. My finished one is here.
Nice. I can do coffee, but I can't do energy drinks. I don't know what... I can do, like, if it's just caffeine energy drinks, but if they have the other stuff in them...
These don't. These are, like, green tea, I think. Caffeine. Oh, natural. I have potassium. I need that.
Potassium!
I think it's from tea. I don't know.
there's a GIF and it's like a banana with a face. And it's like potassium intensifies, and now I have that in my head.
And yeah, and it also reminds me every time I'm eating a banana now of that stained glass that you want.
Yeah. So. Oh my god, it's gonna make it like worth living in an RV to have one of those.
Banana stained glass.
That's right, banana Furby.
Yes. Oh yeah, I forgot it was a Furby. In my head, I was thinking like a really dirty banana sticking out his banana parts. In my
banana butt guy.
Yeah. Oh god. Should I tell that story now?
you told on
TikTok. I think I told it on TikTok.
No, you told it. You told it on the last episode.
Oh, never mind. Then you guys don't need to know my banana butt story. You need to listen to that.
You already know it. You already know it.
I just want to tell it to everybody.
Yeah. It's just gonna be an ongoing thing that, like, my brain, the words are there, and banana butt guy. I can't remember if it's man or guy now. But
both. Banana butt guy man.
Man guy man.
Oh my goodness. All right. I didn't look up any weird news today. Let me see. I'll look it up real quick.
Do weird news, like Google just weird news. First thing comes up.
News. Hopefully it's not the one I already did. Oh. Oh. Clicking on that one. Hank the Tank, the bear behind 21 home invasions, has been captured near Lake Tahoe.
He's been, like, getting into trouble, man. Like...
This is on NPR, and it says, a large black bear who is believed to be a notorious bandit and a hungry, uninvited house guest was apprehended by wildlife biologists on Friday. Authorities in the town of South Lake Tahoe, California, have been on the lookout for exceptionally large animals since February 2022. Oh, he's been on it for a while.
Yeah.
After they reported that one single male bear had been the cause of 152 reports of conflict behavior, including 28 home break-ins, they referred to the animal as Hank the Tank. How have I not heard of him?
I've seen a couple articles, but I hadn't seen that one yet, that they'd caught him.
It's closer to you, so that makes sense why you'd be seeing more articles.
Yeah. I also saw an article about I think it was a brown bear, and it was in the zoo in, like, China or something, and when it stands up, it looks like a person in a bear suit, so now the zoo is, like, fielding off accusations that their bear is not a real bear and that it's actually, like, one of their employees in a suit. It's, like, really funny.
Where is that?
It's, like, in China or something. I will look up the article and send it to you, but it's like, hilarious because they're literally just getting, like, all these accusations and having to be like, no, it's a real bear. Because when it stands up, you know, like, when bears stand up, they look very human. Mm-hmm. And this particular one's not a big, round, chubby one. And so it does kind of look like it's wearing a bear suit, but it's not a person, it's a bear. Like,
oh, this article, it's even more appropriate for this particular segment of the podcast. DNA testing confirmed that the bear captured on Friday, who is formerly known as Bear 64F, was a female behind at least 21 cases of breaking and entering. So she's
Hank
a
the Tank's a
frightening
female.
Frauen. Yes. Hank is a
awesome.
female. Awesome,
That's
Hank.
great.
I am proud of you. The agency typically... Oh no. Typically euthanizes. Oh no. But they did not euthanize Hank.
What did it...
It said they typically euthanize problematic animals that are causing harm. And I'm like, it's not the bear's fault. You guys took over its habitat. And you left food right out for the bear.
Right? They do get really good at, like, because it's standard in those areas to have, like, locks and stuff on your garbage cans, mm-hmm. and even then they still get into them.
They're getting smart.
So the bear that's not a person in a bear costume is in China. It's a sun bear.
His name is okay.
Kyra.
Those are skinnier, right?
Yeah.
Kyra.
So It's so funny. It's just such a funny, like, weird. I love, like, because we have, like, all these really insane things happening all around the world that are, like, a lot, right? And then there are these little petty, just things that people get really fixated on. And I love those. They're so funny to me.
They are. And it kind of just adds a little bit of light to the dark world.
Yeah.
Which is why I like to share them on here. Because they're hilarious and they make me giggle. Like anytime I'm like really upset, I look up funny news or good news. Like there's always interesting things going on in the world that we don't hear about.
I wish it was a normal part of newscasting that they included stuff like that. I think like, you know, the reliance on the negative and the hysteria and stuff is just awful for everybody psychologically, you know?
It should be like a mandated % of the news had to be positive.
Yeah.
Because there's so many
positive,
good things.
Interesting, quinky dink, like anything, you know?
That's not negative.
Yeah.
Life altering. I want to know more about the aliens that our government is alluding to.
Yeah. And I love, like, I've been seeing, like, tweets and stuff, and there's, like, well, look at the guy's eyes. He's clearly crazy, and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't. And I'm like, dude, if you knew something that most of the world didn't know, and you knew that you were under threat, like, personal safety, if you shared it, and, like, wouldn't you look a little bit crazy, too? Like, you know, who's to say the reason for why he has, like, that particular stress expression? Like, I'm very, like, it could be true or it's not true. Like, I believe alien life exists. Like, whether or not the proof is here yet, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it was hidden from us, but at the same time,
or
like,
how sentient it is too.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's I'm just kind of like, it could be or not, you know, but somewhere out there are lots of other species.
Yeah.
You know, doing stuff.
Exactly. And who's to say what we have suppressed becoming more, I guess, humanoid in thought or in different ways of being intelligent, like what species we've suppressed from doing that just based on how we treat animals.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's been many others that because like we as a species, we're very greedy. We're very aggressive because of that greed. And so we just wipe everything out. And there are other species that could have evolved here if we hadn't evolved, that maybe would not have been so competitive and would have succeeded in the long run without our competition with us, in a way that we cannot. Like, we're a failed experiment. The greed, unless we can like genetically remove the greed, we're done for. Like,
oh yeah,
you know.
And I feel like any side of the coin would agree that we're killing ourselves and everything else that shouldn't have to rely on us keeping it alive.
Right. Right.
We're lovely on the planet that we live on.
I know people complain about cockroaches, and I'm like, yeah, but we're worse.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Cockroaches don't really do that much. They help with the ecosystem. We break the ecosystem.
Yeah, and the difference is we're not going to survive an apocalypse.
Right.
Maybe they're actually super intelligent and they're just laying low until we're gone.
Yep. Yeah, they have like server rooms and their whole like own network using like a technology we're not capable of like sensing yet, and like they're just waiting it out in their bunkers and just being like, yeah, eventually.
And they're saving like DNA from different animals they do want to bring back.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
this
not.
One's particularly tasty when it dies. Let's make sure we keep that one around.
That one's poop is delicious. Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. All right. Should I start my story?
Let's do it.
Woo woo. All right. This one is an amazing woman that I learned about probably a year and a half ago. And the day that I learned about her, I'm like, she needs to be on my podcast that I eventually do in the future. And this was going to be my first one. And then that other one came into my head, and I just couldn't stop thinking about her, so I had
Yeah.
to do that one. And I even talked to some other people after we recorded that last one about her, and people I thought would know who she was had no idea. I'm like, you historians are not very historical. That shows just how horrible our education system is. And this is another one that should have been taught, because we learn all about this industry in school. I forget what grade. I think like 4th or 5th grade. But we did not learn about her. So her name is Judith Love Cohen, and she was born August 16th, 1933 in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jewish family. Mother Sarah Cohen and Father Morris Cohen. She had a lot of support in her household. It was kind of refreshing to not see any abuse or any like negative things going on in her house. I know we love trauma, but her parents were great, and they actually supported her in doing whatever she wanted to do. She was super passionate about both math and dance, which I guess dance is mathematical. But she loved ballet, and so her parents really supported her and did whatever they could to get her into those programs. And by the time she was 10, her classmates were paying her to do their homework in math, and she wanted to, especially if they were in different math classes from her, because she wanted to be challenged and wanted new problems to solve and different things to do, and she was challenging herself and getting paid for it. So why not?
Right.
Don't know if she told her parents that part, but
yeah.
Or how much they were paying her to do it in the 30s. No, it would have been the 40s at that point, 43.
Yeah, I also wonder, like, what you know, like, kind of off topic, but, like, what the mindset and the opinions would be around someone doing that. They might have just thought that it was, ingenious or something, and not been like, well, that's a moral issue and blah, 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 right?
Right. I bet that no one really knew, because they couldn't really have anything to test it against. And math is one of the easiest ones to copy, because if you copy all the work and everything, like, no one's going to be like, oh, that you plagiarized that, when you're supposed to do it the same way as everyone else. All right. So yeah, she really enjoyed doing that. She also would have other people. She actually asked her teachers for more math problems and different things, and was really ahead of everything in math. Didn't really talk about any other subject, but she loved math. And her dream was to become a math teacher when she was young. I'm glad that isn't the direction she went in, because she eventually goes on to save a lot of lives with her math skills. So by adulthood, she was already studying engineering in college while simultaneously dancing ballet in the Metropolitan Opera Ballet Company in New York. She was succeeding in both and had the time and energy for both and loved it.
Have you ever had that much energy?
No.
Me either. I'm just like, I try to imagine it sounds magical.
Right? I wish. I mean, I did dance. I was never great at it. I did it for 17 years. And they always shoved me in the back. I was the one singing along while I danced in the back, forgetting half of my moves.
That would be me if I tried to do actual, like, dancing with structure. It would just be like, do.
I did the best when we were doing, like, parades, and it was like a continuous line of us dancing the same dance over and over again. So it was like the short, like, 30-second thing that we just did, because by the time you get past that 30 seconds, new people are seeing you. Yeah. So I didn't have to memorize a lot. It was and oh my God, guess what song it was to? And it was at Christmas time.
I don't know.
I don't want a lot for Christmas.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. And we started...
So you heard that, like, a million times.
And we started practicing in September, so yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. I was in marching band, played percussion, but it wasn't... It was all, like, classical music and stuff. It wasn't...
I was in band. I played the flute, and I was great until my teacher in 8th grade made me learn how to read music. because I was just playing by ear before then. And then in 8th grade, I was first chair flute, and he said, you need to do the new music. Like, he would pick a different person to do the new sheet music. And I'm like, I don't know how to read this. And he's like, you don't know how to read music? You're first chair flute, and you don't know how to read music. And he taught me, and it ruined me. It all just seemed like notes, and it didn't sound like music to me anymore.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I was first chair flute as well, but I really wanted to play drums, so they wouldn't let me because I was a girl, and so I started like fucking off in class, and so he put me on the baritone horn as like he's like, because he knew I lived really far from school, so I had to carry it, and he figured he was like, if you play this, I'll let you know, and you stick to it, maybe we can do percussion, but you have to prove yourself. So I did, and I got really good at the baritone horn, and then he put me on percussion, but he would only let me play the bass drum, which is of course really heavy and cuts your shoulders when you're mm-hmm. you know, because we didn't have a nice pad or whatever. It was so rude. It was like but I still got to do what I wanted. I was happy anyways. It took me like 2 years.
How you were born.
Right. I know. Gosh.
It's all your fault. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but basically she has way more energy than I could ever imagine.
Right.
And according to her family, it never stopped until the day she died. Like, she was always go, 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 and learning and teaching, and oh my gosh, she's just amazing. I look up to this person. By adulthood, she was studying engineering in college while simultaneously in the ballet. Even though being offered scholarships to go to school for math, she decided her heart was destined for engineering. She wanted to do something with the math, and she was very fascinated in aerospace. After 2 years going to Brooklyn College, she married and moved to California as a junior engineer for North American Aviation, while continuing her education at the University of Southern California at night while working full-time during the day. See?
That just makes me tired thinking about it.
I know. And this is years of this. She was determined and went through a bachelor's of science and a master's of science program. She said the hardest part of all of it was realizing through both her work and school, she was the only female engineer in both her whole school, her whole college, every program, every class, and at work. And she said that was the hardest thing, was knowing the challenges of being the only female. And by the way, yes, it said that she married and moved to California, but he moved to California for her to get into that program and to go there. So it wasn't like she followed him to California. Wanted to add that in there. So another supportive man.
Nice.
And you have to be married to someone that's working and going to school, and who knows what else on the weekends, like projects or whatever she was working on, because she was amazing.
Plus the fact that doing all of those things means that the way that she thought about being a woman was very different from what anyone would expect a woman to be at that time. So, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then between 1962 and 1982, she became a graduate of UCLA's Engineering Executive Program, which came out after she had graduated with her master's. She continued working with her alma mater as an astronautical engineer advisory board member. While working, mind you, like this whole time she's now an engineer and working with both NASA as well as other programs, creating things for NASA. And she's also going to the college and speaking and being part of a board and helping other people get into the field that she's in and is super excited about.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. But backtracking a little bit on her work history, after graduating from USC, School of Engineering in 1957, she went on to work at the Space Technology Laboratories and stayed working there through many name changes until her retirement. In 1980 is when she retired. Her work included programs such as the Minuteman missile and the abortion guidance system in the Apollo modules. So what she made was what would allow them to get around any technical issues that go on in the space shuttles to help either land or get them home. So, and it ended up being very needed on Apollo 12 and 13. They had to use her program, and that's what saved their lives and allowed them to get back to Earth.
Awesome.
And that was her baby. She and her husband did divorce after having 3 children in the mid-60s, and she remarried her second husband, Thomas William Black, who converted to Judaism for her. And they had 1 son together, but his birth is anything but ordinary. At this time, she was still working for the Space Center and on the abortion program. And she had taken some work with her when she went into labor at work. She took some work with her because she realized that there were some numbers not adding up. And so she took that, realized that they needed some things fixed while in labor. And the space shuttle was out in the sky. And she calls her boss because they're like, oh, we got this. Like, you go on, go have your baby. But she got there and realized they don't got this. So she's in labor, calling them, walking them through getting the astronauts home safe.
Wow.
And she said, I'm not having this baby until I know that all of this work is complete.
Yeah.
And so she did call her other son after she had the baby and said, oh, by the way, I fixed that problem with the space shuttle and the abortion program. And then she said, oh, and by the way, your brother was born too. But yeah, she took all her work with her and she went on to do that. So afterwards, the people that she had saved from her program that they found out that she was in charge of that got them home safely, they ended up having her brought her in, and the astronauts actually all thanked her for saving their lives and dedicated their lives to her. But yeah, you don't hear about that.
No, of course not.
In that movie that came out, I'm not remembering the name, but it did mention her with the women behind like the space launches and things like that. They did mention her in there, but I don't think they mentioned all of this of how crazy it is. But there were a lot of women.
I never saw that movie. It was on my list, and then I just like it has to be free on streaming, and then I forget. Exactly.
But after reading this, I'm like, I need to watch that now because
right.
But yeah, so she gave birth to her son, and his name was Thomas Jacob Black. And you may know him as Jack Black. Do you know Jack Black?
Do I know Jack Black?
Exactly. No, you. How do you not?
I'm kidding.
It's funny. We were talking about how I was giving Lee hints about who this was about, and Lee's like, I don't know famous people, so I'm probably not gonna know.
But it's like the one. It's the one that I would know. I've seen Tenacious D live like multiple times. I saw them at BlizzCon. I have a pin on my bag. Like,
well,
I watch
his mom.
I watch his YouTube videos, which I don't watch hardly anybody's YouTube videos because I don't have good attention span for videos. But his stuff is funny, so yeah, and his TikTok videos. But yeah, so that's really awesome, and I have to make sure that my son watches this. I won't tell him why. I'll just be like, you have to watch it because also.
Because she's amazing. And it's funny because everyone knows her.
He's got that energy too, though.
And his brother,
he's like nonstop.
His older brother is a famous engineer as well, like a mathematical computer engineer. And he's famous for that. I think I put his name in here. Let's see. No.
So you've got like all these engineer types, and then you have Jack Black. Like, I can just imagine he's a little kid, always like acting out and be like, do, you know?
But when you, like, I looked up some videos of him talking about his mom, and it's all so sweet and kind. And, like, he said she was the best mom and most supportive of whatever they wanted to do. Like, they did not need to be engineers for her to be like, oh, yeah, you're my favorite. But,
Yeah.
she was just as supportive as Jack Black as she was of her son that became a computer engineer. And, yeah, it was amazing. She did go on to divorce and marry a third husband, David Katz, in the early 80s. They were together until her death in 2016 after battling cancer. After her retirement, she went on to write 20 books after founding a publishing company. Hey, there's a theme. The last person had a publishing company, too. She was loved by so many and was respected by tons and tons of people who knew what she did, knew how many lives she saved, and what history wouldn't have been made without her. Mm-hmm. And everyone has had, like, anything I looked up had only kind things to say about her. And just as a person and in professional life, men who worked with her who got a lot of credit for the things that she did came out later, and there was like documentaries that they did about how their work wouldn't have been possible without her, and how much they learned from her. And that was huge. I wish that in the time when she was working they would have said that.
Yeah, definitely. I think mainstream, the engineers, any of them don't get a lot of credit, but I would imagine within the engineering community, that's mm-hmm. really where she was neglected.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it never stopped her. She never complained about it. She just said it was sad. And it wasn't even sad about her. It was sad about women in general not getting credit for these huge things that they were doing that men's names got put on.
Yeah. I would imagine, like, going through school and all those years and just having an interest that's not traditionally, like, acceptable for females. I mean, shit, even just being that specialized and interested in it as a male would be, mm-hmm. like, a lot of people would be like, mm. But, you know, she probably dealt with so many closed doors and, like, hurdles and negative attitudes and stuff that by the time she actually got where she wanted to be, the things that were sad and disappointing, it was like, yeah, you just be kind of resolved to this is the way the world is, you know?
Yeah, and really back then the world was like that in any industry. So I know that people also were used to it and expected it, where mm-hmm. today we're fighting really hard against it. We still know it's there and we still see it, but it's getting better and we can voice the issues that are going on now. Where back then, if you voiced what was going on, you were cut. Like,
yeah.
So you couldn't even fight against it. There were no protections for you being treated differently because you were a female or being paid differently. Where now we can actually fight against that and see what's going on and have accessibility to other people's pay and understand how we're being paid and if it is or isn't fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And just knowing that anybody can do anything, you know?
Yep.
The plumbing doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. The amount of times I wasn't allowed to do things as a kid that my brothers were allowed to do is ridiculous.
Oh,
or
my God.
They just didn't think about us learning something, but wanted to teach our brothers.
Yeah.
It was just
I think we talked about this before, but, like, I had this dual experience where at my mom's house, I got to learn whatever was, like, in front of me, and my mom and her boyfriend actually made sure that I learned things. Like, it was a requirement to get to do things. Like, I think I told you about, like, getting the mini bike, and then it was broken, and in order to get the mini bike and get to ride it, I had to learn how to fix it. But I would go to my dad's house, and my dad was a mechanic, and he would do stuff, and I wasn't even allowed to help get the tools for him, which at my mom's house, that was like one of my chores, was to hang out while they were working on stuff and give them the tools and hold the light, and, you know.
It's never held in the right spot.
Yeah, so, like, at my dad's, it was like my brother was not good at stuff. He was just a kind of a monster. He's just kind of a nasty person. He's like born that way. And he got to do all the stuff that he didn't even want to do. Whereas I was sitting there going, well, I want to do it. I want to let me help you build the thing you're building, or, you know, and it was always like not appropriate, to the point, like when I got into computers, my dad set rules to limit my exposure to computers, even though my stepmom was a computer programmer at a time when not that many women were. But he didn't like that either, you know, and it just is so like, it hurt my brain. I was like, but why? You know, because at home with my mom, I could do anything, you know.
I'm glad you never stopped questioning it and you pushed through as an adult to learn things, though.
Yeah. Most of my interests growing up were male-dominated interests, like riding motorcycles and stuff like that. So I would literally go, and I think this was partially like the autism, like my obliviousness to social cues that would tell me that I maybe wouldn't be welcome. I just wouldn't pick up on it. And so men would try to control or take over or act like I wasn't good at things. And it's only in retrospect that I'm like, oh, that's what they were doing. I would be like, no, bitch, you don't know what you're talking about, and start showing them how to like put the brakes on correctly or do whatever, and be completely oblivious to the sexism, you know. But now I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I think I handled that fine.
Yeah. It's funny because growing up, my brothers were always invited to go fishing with my stepdad, and I was the one really interested in going. Only in the ocean, though. I did not want to go in the lake.
Why?
It's just boring.
Okay.
You're just sitting there. It's fine for a little while, but you throw most of it back, and it's sad. Like, you're just catching these fish to throw them back. In the ocean, you're catching a couple of fish, and you're going to feed your family with it for weeks. My favorite, so usually we went for Dorado, which we called dum-dums, and I don't know why, but they were the saddest to catch, though, because you have to like hit their heads with a hammer afterwards to like kill them. It was very sad. I wouldn't do it. And then we caught yellowtail, and we'd usually do one thresher shark a season. And thresher shark, you have to shoot them, which is also sad.
Nice.
But they can decapitate you. Their tails are like super long, and they can literally decapitate you if you pull them into the boat without having them before.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then my favorite, though, was going squid fishing, which we would do. Usually the big Humboldt squid would run every couple of years, like the giant ones. The smaller ones would run every year. And I'll post some pictures because I have some of these giant squid I caught. But wow. I went with two dudes, my stepdad and his friend, and I'll post a picture with them in it because they look like iconic fishermen. Like yellow raincoat, like little mustache. And there I am. I caught 3 and they caught 0.
That's funny. You're like, man.
But it's hard. Yeah. It's like pulling in a parachute. It takes like an hour to get that thing in because they're huge.
Wow.
And
I know nothing about fishing, if that's not obvious. I've been fishing once in my entire life when I was like 8, and it was in a creek, and the whole worm on the hook thing, and like the skin came off the worm, and that was it. I was done. I couldn't, I would go catch the crawdads, but I couldn't handle the fish, and never went fishing again. And maybe if I had been exposed to the ocean one, it would have been more fun, because I actually as a kid would have liked hitting them on the head and shooting them. So
I would have allowed you to do that part. I'll pull them in.
I would be like, let me do it. I used to raise meat rabbits for my cat who's allergic to all other proteins, and I had absolutely no issues with dispatching them. I just made sure it was like humane. I felt like, like a really strong like appreciation for the rabbits because of what they were providing, but like it wasn't, that part doesn't bother me. And as a kid I would have been like, oh, can I do it, because I was morbid. So
here's I don't know if you'll be able to see it. My camera sucks, but there's one of the squid. I'll post the pictures though.
Okay. Yeah, because you can see the jackets, but you can't really see.
Ah!
Oh yeah. Oh wow, it is huge. Look at that. What?
Yeah, and you have to like gaff them before you get them in because their beaks will like take your whole hand off.
So what is that? What does that mean? Like cut the beaks off, or?
So what you do is you hook them on the side of the boat, so you don't just pull them in by the thing. You hook them so that you can actually like them before before you pull it out, because the lure is shaped like this, so that when it's in their mouth it pulls and it's like their whole every direction.
Yeah. The ocean is spooky and dangerous.
Yes, it is. I've never hurt a land animal. I always went fishing, and when we would go hunting, because I went with them up in Idaho when I was, let me see, what day is this going to come out, because I'll talk about my Idaho trip in one of my episodes I already recorded. But, so this one's going to come out, it'll be the episode before this one. So during my Idaho trip, it was a sad trip. They took me hunting, and they shoot elk, and I pretended that I was a bad shot and I couldn't get them.
Aw.
I didn't want to kill an elk, but I can kill a squid.
Yeah. Well, one of them's not as cute as the other one, so there's some bias there. I can see that.
They're cute. They're so floofy. I'll eat it.
I don't think I would have a problem with that as long as I knew the animal was going to be used.
That's all used.
Like really, that's really important to me.
They use the fur, they use everything, down to the bones and the hooves and everything.
Yeah, and as long as the population is high. What do they do with that? That's one thing I've never thought about. Like, what do they do with like animal teeth? Like, you see it sometimes when people use skulls, you'll see the teeth. But what happens like if you don't use that
everything?
Yeah, but if they grind the bones up for meal or whatever, then I'm assuming the teeth would be included in that.
True. That's probably what happened. That, or they just kept them as jewelry.
Yeah,
sold them.
Guessing.
I don't know. They always said they used everything, so I'm just assuming they did something with them.
With my rabbits, I did not use the intestines. That was the only thing I didn't use, and I could have used it to make it's a tripe or whatever. But basically, I would use dehydrate it and make it into a snack but I couldn't handle the smell, so I composted it.
Well, so you did use it if you composted it.
Yeah. I have a worm bin and all that, so.
I want one. And I think it stays warm enough because, like, composting creates heat, that it stays warm enough that you could have it in Minnesota in the winter.
You'd want to bring it into a garage or something.
I can do that.
Worms are cold composters, so you can have a little bit of heat in there, but they actually will, like, if the composting stuff is too warm, they will move away from it. And so, like, there's certain types of stuff you would not want to compost in large amounts, like meat and citrus and onions and stuff like that. There's, like, recommended things you don't want in there a lot. But yeah, you just pull it in when it's really, really cold, and they would be fine in the garage most likely.
I have a big garage that would work.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about it.
They're cute and they're little wiggly, like, and they do cool stuff. With the RV, I got a composting toilet, so like I can actually take the composted fecal matter and give it to the worms.
Oh,
which is really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I'm like, woohoo!
I get to poop on the worms.
Eat the worms, eat it.
Eat shit.
And I'm gonna say that every time I feed them.
You better.
Yeah, I'll make a video and send it to you. I'll just be like, eat shit, worms. Tyler told me to tell you that.
Exactly. Just put it on the box like a sticker.
Eat shit. I'll totally make a sticker that says that. Put it on there.
All right, now I need one for my composting worms too, when I have them.
Definitely. They started out eating shit because I put the way that I first got them was, I'm not explaining this, the words are not coming out right, but when I had the rabbits, I had them indoors because I was in a populated area, so they were in my garage, and I built this like 2-story hutch with like, I used roofing at an angle, so all the poop and pee would go down to a gutter, and it goes into a, goes down into this big ass box that I put underneath the bottom floor layer of rabbits. And in there was just rabbit poop, and then they usually pee like in the same corner. So the pee was off in one corner, and I was like, what am I gonna do with all this rabbit poop? Because you can give it to people, it's amazing fertilizer, but I was having more poop than I could find people to take the poop. So I started putting worms in there, and I just put like a whole bunch of them, and they would like compost it, and then I would be like worm castings, which people really want. And I started giving out like these big bags of worm casting rabbit poop mix. And I got like orchids. People would leave me gifts. They would take the bags and like leave me stuff. And I was like, just bring me cuttings, like apple tree branches, because I'll feed the rabbits, So it was cool. I was like, I'm in the middle of like Richmond, California, which is like a very urban city. And I was like doing this like cool farming thing.
That is so cool.
It was fun.
I used to have rabbits, but they were pets, not food.
Yeah. Yeah, I only was attached to the buck. His name is Mac Daddy. I have videos on YouTube that show why he's called that.
Now I have to go check.
He was a chinchilla breed, and he was very sweet, but the females were nuts. Like when I got him from the guy, he was like, yeah, they have a really bad temperament, so you need to be careful because they'll probably bite you.
They growl too.
And rabbits are like vicious if they're not like I had to make sure that Mac Daddy didn't stay with them for too long, because when a female rabbit's annoyed, they will like disembowel the male. So
and their babies.
I was scared of them. Yeah, I was scared of them. I was like, I'd wear like big gloves and like to pull them out for breeding and stuff. Like I was, oh my god. And they were like 14 pounds of like angry rabbit.
Would they eat their babies too?
No, none of them did that. They all felt safe in their environment, so they didn't feel the need to do that.
I had one.
Thankfully.
I had one that would eat her babies because I was breeding them for other people for pets or food. I think it was more food than pets. But I didn't end up giving a lot of them away or breeding a lot of them because this one rabbit just ate all of her babies. There was one, so Graham Cracker, who was named after Graham from my previous episode before this one. She was a wonderful mom. And she had Scooter, who was my least favorite rabbit, the one that would eat her babies, and Axel Rose, who got eaten by my neighbor's dogs.
No.
But they were dwarf rabbits. And my first rabbit, though, was a Rex rabbit, and he was also a dwarf Rex rabbit. And he lived forever, as a bunny. I would take him everywhere on his leash.
Wow, that's so cool.
He was
pet rabbits are, my understanding, because I've never had a pet rabbit, is that you have to know how to coexist with them, and you need to give them like the right environment and stimuli or stuff, or otherwise they become very like temperamental, which is why so many of them get released into the wild. And if you get a pet rabbit and you don't like it, do not release it into the wild. That's really mean. They're not wild rabbits.
My Wednesday episode that is about to post is about that, actually. In Florida, they had released some pet rabbits that they didn't want anymore, and now they're overrun with rabbits.
Oh, no. Yeah, I've read about that happening in places. I actually read about one of the farming groups where they had their outdoor colony, and then they were having issues with like somebody had let a pet rabbit out, and they were figuring out how to get into the colony, and so they were like, we're getting like these really bunnies that are not the right breed. What's going on here,
Yeah.
It was like, gotta reinforce that colony.
I think these ones were lion's head rabbits. So I was like, those are cute.
Little fluffies.
And some people are like super excited about it, and other people are like, no, get rid of these rabbits.
They're so destructive to the environment. They destroy trees and stuff. Like, it's not yeah, they're cute, but it's not cute. It's kind of like inviting crows onto your property. It's a cool idea until like you realize that they're going to destroy your bird feeders and any pots and plants, and
unless you're making an environment specifically for crows and you don't expect any other
yeah, right.
any other birds to be around. Yeah. Oh, I've been watching some people, speaking of crows, that taught their pet crows how to steal money. And they have like drawers of money that their crows have brought them. That's
random. Funny.
I don't know if people are giving it to the crows or if they're like stealing it, but
yeah. Like, where that would be cool to put a camera on them so you could see like what's going on, because they could just be like going up and like yelling at people, and
then they're like, here you go,
getting it. Yeah. But I had a resident crow on my property when I owned a house, and I had a contractor come out to do some work, and they were sitting in the back with like a bagged lunch that had a burrito and a soda in it, and the crow took the entire bag, threw the soda in the neighbor's yard, and then ripped up the burrito, and it was like all over my yard. And it just like did this while like looking at the guy he stole it from.
They're smart. And
he was like,
he knew what he was doing.
He was just like, I was like, well, you must have pissed off like some crow somewhere, and this guy found out about it and was letting you know that he knew, because
they remember faces. So if that crow saw that person do something that they perceived as either violent towards other crows or like environmentally violent, and they knew that, they'll remember you.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for if someone has a twin that's evil.
Did you watch that movie Beef?
No.
Or is it a TV show? Highly recommend. It's very entertaining. But they do have like a little sub story about crows remembering people that treat them well versus treat them bad, and it's really funny. So,
okay, I'll have to watch that one too.
Yeah. I was surprised. I went to watch it and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna, and I was like, no, this is actually, I'm pretty entertained throughout the entire thing. I just can't remember if it was a movie or a series.
I'm gonna look it up.
I think it's a like a 6-episode series.
Beef.
Yeah, it's got the guy from Walking Dead.
One season. Yeah, it's a show, like a mini series.
Mm-hmm.
This.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
All right,
it was a little stressful, but like in like in a good way,
Yeah, I get that. Once you get through the stress, then you have the reward.
It's like awkward. I have really mixed feelings about watching stuff that's really awkward, because I feel the anxiety of the awkwardness, even though it's happening on TV and I'm not actually experiencing it. I still get very like, oh God, it's why like, it's like, I don't like watching a lot of American TV because it relies so much of American TV, the plots and the drama and stuff rely on people not being honest with one another. And if you watch foreign TV, a lot of times the stories are based just on other things, and lying sometimes happens, but it's not the core of it. And whenever I switch from foreign TV back to American TV, and then there's a whole bunch of lying happening, I get so stressed out, and I'm just like, oh man, I forgot. This is why I don't watch a lot of American TV. There are definitely exceptions, and I'm always happy when I find them, but on average, especially if it's drama based, there's so much lying, and it's like, it's awful that's so normalized. It
is, yeah. And I'm thinking back, like I was trying to think of different shows, and I'm like, yep.
And it's normalized in a way where people think that even though we watch on TV and we're like, oh, they shouldn't have done that, they think it's normal to treat other people that way, because it's, like, media is really powerful like that. It normalizes us to stuff, and then we just do it. And I'm just like, no, I don't know about you, but like for me, like being honest is like everything. Like lying stresses me. Even like good lies, like surprises, are really hard for me. Like I would just rather give you the gift than like withhold it.
I wonder if that's why it's so hard for me to give. I like to be ahead of time and like get the gifts and like have them be meaningful and prepare ahead of time. But then once I have it, I hate waiting.
It's awful. I I'll tell them I got you a gift. I'm having a hard time waiting, and sometimes that helps.
Yeah.
Like because I'm being
The
honest and
honesty
you know,
about it, yeah.
yeah. But like yeah, I like my son and I. We don't wait. We just whenever we get the gift, we give it, and it's the day doesn't matter so much as the, you know, so.
And I'd rather the other person not tell me that they have something for me that they can't give me yet.
Oh, I actually I like being told because I am super patient when it comes to you could take a gift, put it in a paper bag on a table in my room, and I won't look at it because my integrity is everything to me. So like, I've had like exes who knew that I was like that, and they would literally leave stuff on their desk, knowing that I wouldn't ever see it because I'm not going to go through their stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, so I actually kind of love the anticipation. That says a lot of different things about me that you would be right if you're thinking that. But like, it's yeah. So for me, but I hate the opposite direction. I hate getting a gift and then having to wait to like give it. So I usually don't wait.
Yeah, with the kids, I find it easier because, especially when it's like a holiday coming up or something, because like I'll wrap it ahead of time and it's sitting there and waiting for them.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little bit like I already gave it to them and like it's already there. But like putting gifts under the tree or whatever.
Yeah. I never had the money for a tree, so I never did that. But when my son was younger, it was easier to wait. But as he became an adult and I started giving him more thought out gifts, you know, like his birthday present in July, which I gave to him in June, but I bought in March. I had been trying to buy it for a year before that. This artist would sell out within like 3 minutes of putting more stuff up, and I finally got in. I was like, "Arr." But it was like a mug with like, mushrooms on there, and then a pipe with the matching mushrooms, and it's just like this really like gorgeous ceramic stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give this to you, and I have a really good excuse because I'm putting all my stuff in storage, and I will lose it. So now I get to give it to you early.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love art. I love buying from like actual artists. It just, it feels better. It means a lot more. Now I don't always do that because I don't have the money for it if I'm doing a cosplay or something.
Yeah.
But if I can, I do. And I used to do a segment on my TikTok when I was like really active with being live and things, where I would buy a certain amount of, I think it was like 3 things a month from artists on TikTok. And then I would make videos like when it came in of the items and stuff. And I want to be able to do that again when I have the funds, because it's nice to be able to give directly to an artist.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
I should do that. Because I mentioned to you that I put part of my Patreon, like 10% of my Patreon goes towards, but I have been getting stuff, but I haven't. I'll like share, like I got this clown art from a fellow clown. It's really like cool, really like nice frame and all this stuff. And I did share it on Instagram, but I should be more active on TikTok with that stuff.
I think it's nice, and then other people will return the favor to you and share your stuff and just fill TikTok with art.
Right? I think that was part of what like killed my motivation, was that it wasn't going both directions on TikTok. So I was like, and then when people do, like, I mean, I'm sure you noticed when you made a post after you got stuff that the post didn't do as well as your others. And that happens every time somebody tries to share my stuff. It's like, it's really frustrating. So it has made me not be so into TikTok. I'm like, I'm just going to share over here.
Yeah, the algorithm's pretty messed up because people like that stuff. And I feel like they've never tried pushing it. And they suppress it when you're sharing other people's things and tagging other people and things. And I feel like if they were to open that up and like be really small business and artist minded, people do really like that. With that said, we are going to end this episode, and the other half that we recorded after this segment will air later. We ended up talking for about 2.5 hours, so don't think you want to listen to us ramble for that long. So I just want to say thank you for being with us on another episode of Frightening Frauen, and we'll catch you in the crow's nest.